I'm Reed, and today we're going to be talking about the webby lads, the creeple people, the Ettercap. Welcome to Monstering, our series on how to take creatures, threats and enemies from existing D&D lore, customize them to our own campaigns. This is Crowland Publishing. Let's get to it. Ettercaps, Spider-Man. This is a bit on a more technically proficient podcast or vlog that someone would splice in the 60s Spider-Man theme song. Alas, this is not that vlog. So there's been quite a few spider people and spider types in D&D. It's fair enough. Spiders are creepy. And there's that whole Tolkien, Ungoliant, Shelob thing going on. So the first one are the Ariana. They're from very early editions of the game. They're much more mystical kind of spider women. There is the Chitin. They're the worst. They're just race of spider people types who hate the drow, which is just, what if the Germans won the war? Lemon, they are terrible. Do not worry about them. Ettercaps are better than all of them. Ettercaps are interesting. They start out as kind of more of a humanoid race of Brian Froud looking, pot-bellied, grey-skinned. They're connected to demons or worship demons or something, and their deal is that they're friends with spiders. They got pet spiders. And slowly over the years and over the editions, Ettercap have changed and become what they are today, which is a race of half human, half spider type things. They often are cursed by demons or worship demons or things like that. So that's where we're at today. Like face like spiders, multiple eyes, creepy hands, spider pets, web powers, climbing up walls, that sort of business. All right, so in 5th edition, they're weird, kind of doughy physiqued human spider things. They've got 2 big moves. They can move through their webs. I think they got a bit of poison. They're bigger and faster and stronger than humans. They're not very smart. Actually, good wisdom, which I would flavor as perception, like weird compound spider eyes. And there's another reason for a high wisdom check, and it's because in monstering we like to take folklore and mythology and pop culture and examine how they've informed monsters. And there's so much folklore and mythology around spiders, it's endless. We can't possibly touch 1% of it here. But spiders often enter into culture and mythology as trickster figures. And trickster figures are wise figures. They teach things. They demonstrate taboos and they demonstrate the correct way of doing things according to that tribe and that people's logic. So they're good. They're good with people. They understand people in the mythology, which is maybe something that we can return to. Iktomi and Anasazi are the 2 ones that you're probably aware of, but you can go and have a look. There's loads and loads of spider gods. Three, 2, 1. Another great inspiration is the Jeff Goldblum film, The Fly. Not specifically because it's a fly, but because it's a classic body horror of it looks like a person, but it's not quite. And the whole digesting enzymes onto people, that fearful, horrific human body turned alien and doing alien things to you, psychologically very potent. So Ettercaps, they're only like a very small CR, like 2 or something, and nevertheless they punch above their weight because they are so psychologically interesting and they have such baggage that comes with them. So watch a few horror films in which the monster has an unusual but human seeming body, which is most of them because they're just dudes in costume, and really sort of play up how you think that body might move on the table. Watch some videos of spiders if you can handle it. Just have a think about how these human spider hybrids would look, because I don't know about you, but I find them really quite unpleasant. Alright, so Ettercap, quite cool. They've got a fear-producing body, which is important for monsters. They have cultural weight to them, which is also important for monsters. But currently, you tend to really only encounter them as spice to a location-based adventure. The old mine has webs in it. Oh, you ready for spiders? It's Ettercaps running around. You go into an old wood. The spiders suddenly, they're all crawling through the trees, dropping down on you. it's Vietnam, it's all horrible. And that's it. That's sort of the only thing you can really do with them at the moment. And I think that while they do work fantastically to spice up a location-based encounter, i.e. you need to go and get something, the Holy Grail is in the old cave, I think I'll put some Ettercaps in the cave. They will make for an effective run-and-gun adventure. But I think that there's much more interesting ways that we can rethink Ettercap. And I think that there's two axes that primarily present itself. The first is they have demon worshipping law. They want to find the forces of darkness and join them on their hellish crusades. Or we can have a look at that druid law that has existed for a long time now. I honestly don't know what to do with you if you do not immediately respond to the phrase demon worshipping spider people. Spiders are already horrific. Add some terrifying demon mutations to them and give them a desire, an active desire to cause suffering, pain, and to reward their dark lords. If you are going to have a demon worshipping race of spider people like the Ettercaps, and I think that you should, you are going to want to play them up as awful, terrible, scary, intimidating creatures. You are going to want to play up the stark horror of spider people in your face. They are going to be raiding villages for blood. They are going to be raiding villages for slaves who are going to keep alive for many, many years, feasting on their blood. They are going to be injecting enzymes into people and watching them die horribly as their guts liquefy. They are going to be linked with really unpleasant supernatural entities. These are the spider gods. These are the ancient arachnid intelligences from beyond time. Or you could do druids. Now, I'm really interested in Ettercaps as druids. Maybe they're not particularly a druidic race themselves. Maybe they serve a weird circle of druids. Maybe rather than it's a Ettercap nation living in the weird dark forest, it's a coven of Ettercap druids. Maybe they are eco-terrorists. Maybe they're only attacking their local human villages because they want you out of their forest, out of their sacred swamp. Maybe they're warning you, don't come in here. There's something terrible, terrible in here. And the gods have sent the gross spider creatures who are the only ones badass enough to take care of it. So you have Ettercap druids as protecting an area or overseeing an area or in service of whoever is. There's a more interesting way for you to use them than just a bad guy. You can always just, you have to clear the Ettercaps out of the forest. Easy as. But I think the more interesting and making better use of the Ettercaps is as a kind of ally. You must go and seek out their wisdom. What is going on with the dark spirit beneath the hill? Why is the forest suddenly dying? Why are our crops failing? Why are our children being born strange and weird and evil? And there, in the dark places of the forest, in the dark mines, down beneath the hills, are the Ettercap. And they are strange. And everyone knows that if you deal with them, you need to deal with them very, very carefully. And here's where the trickster stuff comes in, because you can, approach them with bought you a cow. If you drink its blood, will you tell us the solution to our problems? But they're tricksters. They're not going to do that. They believe in short, sharp, spiritual shocks to the head, shakabuku. So they're going to lead you on weird guided meditations. They're going to trick you into fighting other creatures that will is a training for what's really going on. They're going to be upset your psyche. They're going to intentionally try and make you uncomfortable, because if you can't deal with them, how are you going to deal with the demon spider that's causing all the problems? So you're looking at them as cruel and cold, but not necessarily malevolent. They're very hieratic creatures. They come from a bizarre spiritual tradition that does not overlap with human or elven or dwarven or whatever ideas of what it is to be a druid. Or play against type. In a new weird style campaign, which is a campaign about exploring, the sociological implications of a D&D world, so fantastic metropolises, wild cultures, Ettercaps might be folk weavers, they might be seamstresses, they might be Tailors, they might be the ones who provide the most elaborate and most perfect silk in the entire setting, and therefore that they are, the dandies of the world. Ettercaps. And or perhaps you want to go back to that wisdom areas, which would make them, perhaps they teach at all the universities. Perhaps they have gurus, Ettercap gurus, and street cults where people go in and specifically learn wisdom from Ettercaps who dot the city or dot the society. Or maybe, the same way that we imagined Morkoth a little while ago, perhaps they are dark figures of strange and hidden lore, and that if you want to know something that most people just don't want to know, you need to go and you find an Ettercap. So there you go. We've got horrible demon worshippers who are, really play them up for gross horror. Druids, seamstresses, loads of stuff to do with an Ettercap. So really have a think about where you want to put them into a campaign. Three, two, one. So how are you using Ettercaps at the gaming table? They're only CR2, so they're not a particularly challenging monster. But I think that we can really make them punch above their weight with using their special attacks. They do have creepy poison jaws. I would give them poison weapons as well. How hard is it for... I spat on the weapon. Now it's got poison on it. Bang. Their big move is they can move on any surface. So give them that xenomorph. That can't be. That's in the room. That sort of... They're crawling everywhere. Then there's loads of them. They're coming up out of the well. They're coming up out of the cistern. They're dropping down from the trees. Really play up that maneuverability. You're getting up. You've set up an ambush for them. You've got bows and crossbows ready to go, but they have been sneaking along the roof, dropping down on you, webbing you up, grabbing you up, poison jaws. I personally have only used Ettercaps a few times, but I just cheated and said that they can do a grapple test. They can spit webs, and it's just a simple strength grapple test to try and yank weapons out of players' hands. I think that if you've got spider creatures and they're not doing some Spider-Man style moves, what are you doing? They've got spider allies. Have them send in just wave after wave after wave of low CR spiders. That way the players might feel that they're being overwhelmed. But they can't just focus on the Ettercaps. They are going to have spiders coming in, biting them and all the rest of them. And here's the other thing, is that do not underestimate the psychological impact that will have on the players. People don't like spiders. I don't know if you've noticed that, but people don't like spiders. Having a foot-wide spider, trying to bite you will freak people out. They will go, I don't want that to happen to my character. They will split their focus between there's the Ettercap who's about to shoot an arrow in my face, or there's a giant huntsman spider. What are you going to do? It's a hard decision. So do play that up. If you've got players that are comfortable with that sort of low-level horror scenario of spiders crawling all through their clothes, poisoning them, all the rest of it, do it. Because it's an effective, memorable sequence. Now, if you are going to use them as a recurring villain, then you're probably going to need to pump them up a little bit, because CR2 is not going to cut it. So if you do want to use them as a demonic race, the spider time has come, we are rising again, and that they are the centipede baddies, or at least for a part of your campaign, you're going to want to pump them up with, I think, a few things. The first is give them the occasional PC class. You chuck a level of sorcerer on an Ettercap, suddenly it's much more powerful, and it's much more memorable as a recurring villain as well. If you're like, you have an encounter, some dude's shooting magic missiles at you, which you've reskinned to be more spidery, then you're going to remember that, especially if it falls back. And then you meet it again. Oh, there's the one that can cast spells. Go and get it. Or, even a barbarian or a monk class to reflect savagery or icy intelligence. The other thing is give them some reskin monsters. Monstrosities especially. Displacer beasts could be a kind of creepy stealth spider. One that they've bred and we fed it the shadow stuff from deep beneath the mountain. Hill giants, they could be a brute kind of Ettercap. You just give it the ability to move through webs or whatever, and you reskin it as we've for 100 years we fed it the blood of the innocent. We gorged it and gorged it. And, so there's the Ettercap as, it just comes out and it's just obese and grotesque and hairy and just, Umber Hulks, reskin them as big, stupid, but hypnotic Ettercaps. Give them that gaze and keep them by surprise. Don't let players know ahead of time what's happening. They see a big Ettercap. What is that? Well, I better go kill that. It's a brute. Oh no, I'm hypnotized. It's drinking my blood. Other than that, I really, really like Ettercap Spider Cavalry. I think that is a memorable and interesting villain, especially if they are coming down on webs from trees or running along the surface of ancient ruins. I think that, again, that is something that a player would see and go, oh my god, this is going to be fun. Some more psychological insights that I think are important. The layers will be quite interesting. You can make them horizontal, but then put them high up in the air so that you're walking on webs. Don't buggerize around, just make it so that it's fine to walk on. It's just too much hassle. But if you fall, you've got a long, long way to fall. Or horizontal. You are never going to have a straight stand-up fight. You're always going to be having to swing around, to climb. Very interesting. Again, play up the psychology of spiders. I'm an Australian. I see spiders all the time. I think about spiders all the time. I know what a really, really big spider's pulsing abdomen and thorax and all the rest of it look like. It's alien in a very, very strange way. So, play that up. Even if you're doing a friendly Ettercap, even if it's the most lovely dandy seamstress in the world and she really, really, really is just interested in giving you a pretty dress for the ball, it's still a spider thing. You will honestly be surprised by how much players can respond to what their characters are encountering. So what do characters know about Ettercaps? Well, skills is what tell us that, and there's always 4 skills that are very useful when we're talking about monsters. Arcana, you just know that Ettercaps have spider-themed magic. They use spiders a lot. Secondly, history, well, that's up to the DM. Have the Ettercaps had an impact on the societies around them? Are they a demonic race of raiders who were cast back down in the demon web pits 1,000 years ago? If they have nature skills, if the characters are druids and rangers and that sort of stuff, they might very well recognize the signs of, no, that's an Ettercap. Do you see the way that the claw marks are going up the tree? That's how they travel. And religion. I would actually use religion. Would be an important part of understanding an Ettercap, because if they're druids, you will understand that yes, they have a druidic tradition. They are close to nature, but maybe it takes place in a very, very different context and has a very different look and feel to how humans or elves, they conceptualize their druidism. And if they're demon worshippers, well, again, that's perfect for religion. They worship the spider queen of the east. They sold their souls long, long ago to the scorpion lord and were betrayed. That's the sort of stuff that religion should be telling people about. And now some short adventures. Alright, so something weird is going on in the woods. Everyone is having dreams and nightmares about it. The local spiders are going insane. The player characters are aware that it's going on in the woods. They go in and they discover that a group of insane druids have opened up a gate to the realm of the demon lord of spiders, and the Ettercaps are coming through again. And that can be the start of a campaign or just a small adventure. Number 2. A horrific, impish spider monk is known in the area, is irascible, unsociable. The rumours are that if you go into his lair, maybe you don't come out. But what he's actually doing is that he's testing people. He wants you to look past his, to human eyes, horrible, weird, chittering body and understand that he is equally deserving of respect. And he can also teach you some savage monk powers. Come back with that trickster idea. 3. The Eight Eyes are an Ettercap cult. And they live in society, they're not hiding, and they can somehow feel the vibrations in the world's web, is how they talk about it. They receive omens and images and visions. They know the future. So players have to go and talk to them. They know something. You've got to go through the sentinel web, which is the first line of defense. And you've got to get past the zealots, who have also joined the Ettercap cult. And then finally you can come and receive their dark wisdom. Number 4. Again, if you're in a new weird kind of metropolis, someone is killing Ettercap artisans. Seamstresses and tailors and all that stuff. Is it the work of a rival guild who are unhappy with the Ettercap's domination of the clothing and textiles industry in the city? Or is something from the demonic past, something that the Ettercaps have long tried to separate themselves from, come back and who are angry that the Ettercaps have turned their back on their old dark ways? And the last one, number 5. Ettercaps can't help themselves at certain times of the year. When the blood moon rises, the ancient, horrible impulses to drink human blood and feast on human entrails just come out. So perhaps you have set up a relationship with Ettercaps in the past of the campaign. They are wise druids or a weird cult or whatever. They can't help it. They know something terrible is coming. How are the players going to respond to, okay, we need to keep the local people safe from the Ettercaps, but maybe we need to keep the Ettercaps safe from the local people and safe from their own worst demonic instincts. So there you go. There's some ways to use Ettercaps. I think that they're really, really underrated. I think that if you're going for a campaign with weird horror, with genuinely creepy bad guys who are going to put the wind up your players as well as your characters, Ettercaps are fantastic. Have a think about them. If you've got any ideas for Ettercaps I've missed, down in the comments. Other than that, it's YouTube, the liking and the sharing and the subscribing. See you next time.